Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Lili Nishmasi Mimeros Yerus Bas Mordechai. Unbelievable. Welcome to our unbelievable guest, Rebbe Abrams, all the way from Australia. He was in the shir for a few weeks, no? 4 years ago, exactly 4 years ago. And he tells me there are some people that come straight to shir instead of going to the kaisel. He came straight to shir before seeing his own mother. She said, go to the shir first. MS. Givaldik. It happens to be that this year...
He hasn't been here in 4 years.
How long do you plan on being here? 4 weeks? At the end of the 4 weeks, it could be, it's shaykh, I don't know, I don't want to say this barabin, but it's possible you'll be here more than your own brother Hillel. It's shaykh. He's going to start showing up now. We have an unbelievable email here from Kalman from the Five Towns. Everybody remembers Kalman. Just want to let you know that coming up right after the fast, Yud Aleph Tevis will be the third Yahrzeit of my dear father, Menachem Mendel ben Simcha, Talmud Chacham, Israeli war hero and Holocaust survivor. I can't believe it's been 3 years since I started brachas with you. Please see attached pictures, which I'm resharing to the day he died. The night before his Ptira, he would recite a blot of Gemara by heart to me from Baba Metzia, from his learning 80 years earlier. Thank you, Rebellion, and all the MDY friends, near and far, for allowing me to continue to honor my father. Here is his father. We really hope, maybe, Kalman, maybe he'll come to Miami. You never know. Huh? I'm inviting you, Kalman. I want to see you there. The whole oiler wants to see you in Miami. Dear Belly, if you still laugh when thinking about Yoli Doppel's Pesach Pesuach email or Shibud the Nas and Shalom diagram, I don't know what that is, and you watch Rebelli, I think he means the football diagram. You watch Rebelli, you don't get this, and you watch Rebelli because you don't get this from Shuli Bornstein. You might be at MDYers. Thank you, Rebbe. Tzvi Hirsch Medetsky. Baruch Badner. Have no fear. You'll be able to use your spiked pigeons for Karbanas Be'ez Hashem because ain't Tamas v'Zachras ba'ifos. I think he's right. There's no mumim in a oif and there's no zachar in a keva. Only a bird that is missing a limb. Chusar Hever is disqualified from being used as a carbon. Should have chapped that. We learned chulin. You learn it and then you don't apply it. I got the same email from two people. It's the same status. Doilam halt fest mit Baruch Hashem. Wenn ich kann sich noch mitchappen, you could mitchappen, you could start, it says azoi. Power status, not about the Daf Yomi, but over here on the right it says, from Joe Freed, Kiryas Yoel. See the attached screenshot from status from a Visions Chassid who was busy yesterday celebrating 3 years from the Siyum Shas in MetLife Stadium 3 years ago. And a Chassid from Kiryas Joel replied saying that he found you the best Magichir ever. Keep it up, Rebelli. You have lots of Chassidim flowers, even in Kiryas Yoel, where Daf Yomi is not popular. Joe Freed from Kiryas Yoel, New York. It's not only not popular, it's usher in a lot of places over there. Okay? Just to let you know, it's been a year since I joined MDY. Fantastic year from Daf Beis. I managed to also cover Rosh Hashanah and Tainus in the meantime. Like many other people I watched your interview, other meaningful people podcasts, you said you guarantee that you'll be a better yid, a better husband, and a better father, and you'll have better Parnassa. I thought to myself, what right do I have to deny my wife and kids such a chance? So next day, Asar B'Tevis, I got up in the morning and I'm still here. He's on every single day on Zoom. Here's the finishing shots together. The infatigable Yecheskel Moshe Kos, who recruited me to join him doing the daf with the Rebelli, Yeshikoyach. Here he is. Rabbi said, check this out. I'm a shtickle upset at Shalom Rand because of what he says here at the end, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Good morning, Rabbi.
It's not about the daf, it's about Rebelli, he said. He got that from Shalom Rand. My wife still wears that sweatshirt, unfortunately. P.S. Still waiting for my life to be changed. Rabbi Mati cause. Chutzpah. First, Chaim Levine writes in a very long email here. Basically, he said a very uplifting, inspirational weekend. They're here as a Klal Yisrael. He met a lot of people, changed different lives, challenges. Bekitzer, it's a big family. We're members of Chizya, the movement that Gedalia Miller had created is really amazing. Bekitzer, he says he has a few Hashgacha prophets. First of all, here's what's amazing. The bottom line is, he recruited together with Gedalia Miller, which I think is even more of an achievement. A guy's in the middle of a big event that he put together, and he's busy getting guys to the daf. Total guys that they got to the daf, how many? 52. 52 people. But I think I told Pesach Levin, Chaim, that I believe the reason why he was zoicha to so many people is because he walked each direction 1 hour. 1 hour. It's unbelievable. To walk an hour, he stayed an hour away. So he says he got lost. The first time he was going, he got lost. And a guy saw him lost. He saw he's looking. So he went over to him and said, let me help you out. Where do you want to go? He told him. And then it turns out he's a Russian Yid. And he said, okay, you should start looking into Yiddishkeit. So he said, I think it's a sign from Hashem. If I met you, I'm going to look into my Yiddishkeit. What he doesn't say here is that he got him to join the Daf, which Mustama happened, but that's for a different time. Then, he says he sat down at a table and he met 3 different friends from different places and they all recognized him, Chaim Levin, the whole Zach. Fine. Hoping to continue to bring even more people to the shir. Your Talmud, Chaim Levin, unbelievable. Mamish unbelievable. 52 people. I don't think I myself brought 52 people to the shir. Okay. Rabbi Isai, today's Daf. How can a husband be Mekayim Neder without saying Mekuyim? Anybody? Oh, interesting. But it's not Mekuyim. It becomes by itself. Mekuyim means that you make it strong. In what case does a husband have more power than a father? We said Yafa Koyach Ha'av, that the father-in-law is more powerful than the son-in-law. Where does the chassan, the husband, the arus have more power than the father-in-law? And then, what is the difference between hatara and afara? Anybody know? What's the difference between hatara and afara? Which is coming to take away a mistake that we had in some of our drawings. We had hatara on a lock. It was really afara. Hatara is. Well, how do you do hatara? You have to go to Bezdin. And what's afara? Who does afara? The father or husband. Who does atara? Bezdin. And what's the difference in halacha between the two of them? You started saying. Oh, Mikan al-Abba. Very good. Ezra from Australia knows the answer. Mikan al-Abba. Hafara, when a father and a husband do hafara, it's from here on out. Hatara means it never happened. They remove it retroactively. They revoke it, and it's as if it never happened.
Hatara is better.
Hatara is stronger. Yeah. The koilel is sponsored by Anonymous. The Masechta in Sgula Ketover in Tומכיה, כיעקב ויעל, Parnassa Shavua, L'schus for Sheleima, success in Parnassa, Nachas from our children, and 5 sponsors for the day. Fagie and George Freud on the Yahrzeit of her mother Esther Ruchama Bas Reb Chaim HaLevi, Zuchama Lebracha, and Neshama should have an Aliyah. Yosef, did you write this or they wrote it?
I didn't write it.
Because I've never seen anybody spell the name Fagie like my wife, and here it is for the first time in my life. Fagie. Unbelievable. Nobody spells it like that. Only my mother-in-law. And here's another person. Wow. Avi Mandelbaum. It's very hard when you go get a passport. Fagie or whatever, It's not good. Avi Mandelbaum, in honor of all MDYers who have come to visit me and make me feel better. You hear? Avi Mandelbaum, you went. Who told us yesterday you also went? So a bunch of people went. Benny. Oh, that's what it was. You and Benny. Anybody else here? Go. It makes him feel better. Yeah, you too. I also went with Gary. No, when he was in Hadassah. Kalman from the 5-town Milberg.
He's on Zoom.
He is. Avi's on Zoom. Where is he? On the top again? Where he always is? He's always on top. Oh, I don't know how because you come on early. That's where you go. Eli and Chaya Hefter. Hi, Avi. Refuah Sheleima for Ozer. Ben Shulamis Genendel was having open heart surgery today. Refuah Sheleima. Phil Byrne. On the outside of Pinchas Rock, 10th of Teves, Pinchas ben Yecheskel, Ola Shalom. And the art is sponsored for complete refuah for Chaim Tzvi ben Leah. I heard, by the way, you got to pump to Miami. We have 330 people signed up so far. And tickets on Spirit Air to Miami, $69. So you could get a meal for less money than it costs in a restaurant in New York. You just get on a plane, come to the Siyum. So even if you're not part of MDY, if you want a fresh geschmack, come to the Siyum. Very good. Rabbi Isai, we're holding 3 lines from the bottom of Samach Tes Amud Beis. And if you look at the chart, you have, basically we're going to have 4 simple questions, one after another. What happens when a person is mekayim, the father, the husband is mekayim, the wife's neder, the wife makes a neder, she's not going to eat chocolate, and the husband says, it's mekuyam, it stands for today, only for today. Could you infer for that he meant tomorrow to be mufer? What do you do with that? What if he says, I want to be made for it tomorrow? Does it start today? Does this ma'achshav and tomorrow? How does that work? What if he says, I want to be mekayim just for an hour, for a moment, for a minute? And what if he says, I want to be mekayim for a minute, but I want to be made for it after the minute? Those are the 4 questions that we're going to have here. Boy Rabba. Mahu. He says, it should be mekuyim today. Are we lamdanim? Do we start inferring from his lashon? Did he mean this? He meant that? It's as if he said, today, only today it's mekuyim, but tomorrow it's mufer. He didn't say it. You have to say with your mouth that it's mufer. He didn't say it's mufer. You can infer all you want. You'll say, okay, he didn't say it. But what if he says, mufurish, it should be mufer to you tomorrow? So the Ram points out that from the first question, it says, if a person says mukuyam, does it mean that could you infer from it that he meant to say tomorrow it should be mufer? So if you stop right there, tomorrow you say mufer, it's good. It's a good afara. It just, we have a question. Does it mean, did he say tomorrow's afara? Again, a guy says, today is mukuyam. Do I make a lumdus and say, but he meant that tomorrow it should be a afara? No, and if he meant that, it's good or not good? It's good. And then a second later we're asking, hey, what if he does afara tomorrow? Is that good? He didn't do the afara today. He said tomorrow it should be a mufer. You assumed it's good, and now a second later you assume it's not good. So Ran says we're going through the different phases here. We're going through all steps. He says a little bit more, okay. Perhaps you can't be mefer. Why? Because it's as if he was mekayim the neder today. Again, you're inferring. What are you doing? You're saying, tomorrow you should be mufer, so meaning today you should be mekuyim. Or maybe not. If he says mekayim today, does he mean mufer tomorrow?
And we're assuming that mufer tomorrow would work.
And now we're taking it back. Wait a minute. And assuming that inferring doesn't work, what if he said mefurish, mufer tomorrow? Could you infer from that mekuyim today? Maybe he didn't say it. He didn't say mefurish mekuyim. So all he was trying to tell her, you should know, that starting from today, I'm saying it today, starting today, tomorrow it should be mufer. But today I'm not mekayim. You'll say, okay, yeah, it works. That what? It's mekuyam, it's mashma that is mekayim. You could infer. When I say tomorrow I'm mefer, that means today I'm mekayim. And tomorrow what? It's a little bit too late to be mefer. I was already mekayim. Again, tomorrow I want to be mefer. Okay? And therefore today I am mekayim. Once I'm mekayim, it's too late. It's mekuyim. I can't be mefer. Kivin the kimayim, l'macher keman the isidami. It's as if when it came tomorrow, it's mekuyim and you can't do anything about it. So what about Omar Law Kayim L'chisha Mau? Let's say Stam a marshal. A guy's wife says, "I'll never talk. I'm not going to talk to you ever again." Yeah, he's annoyed at her. So he says, "Okay, yeah, it's a good neder, but just for an hour. Like I had enough of you now. I don't want you to not talk to me forever. Let's take a little break. You said forever. I'm going to say l'shah, just for today." Is he trying to say that after the hour, after the day, whatever it is, it should jump into hafara? He didn't say mefurish. And And if you say you have to say mefurish, what if he did say mefurish like in the last case? He said mefurish, you don't talk to me for an hour, but after an hour, I'm mefer your nether, and it's nothing. But if he did say mai, I'm reading even the kaimai, he was mekayim for one moment, that's it. He doesn't have any rishus to be mefer anymore, even for a moment. Or Dilma, keeping the kuli yoima, barakama ba'afaro, he's still within the envelope of afara. He could still be mefer within that 24-hour period. It's a little different than saying tomorrow it's mufer. Today I want to be mefer. I want to do a little bit of kiyum and a little bit of afara. Does it work? Kiyomar mufer lichi la'achar shah mahani, and therefore it should work. And memela, what happens? We don't know, so we have to go lechumra, and then everything is makuyim. When you makayim, and it's a good neder, you have to go lechumra, as the Ran says throughout the Masechta. Toshma, hareini nezira. So, I thought there's a great case here. Mamish, we could understand the Givaldik. You have a chassid and a litvak getting married. The husband is a chassid, the wife is a litvak. And he tells her, listen, it's my minhag to shave your head. She says, absolutely not. It's crazy. It's my minhag. It's a big fight. So she says, you know what? I had enough of this fight. I'm in a zero. Forever. Now halachically, I can't shave my head. I'm in a zero. She says, oh yeah, you're in a zero. I'm a nazir also. You wanted me to trim my chassidish beard and make it all litvish. I'm a nazir. Now I can't, I'm going to go forever. You're gonna play games with me in a zero? I'm a nazir. That was during Sheva Brachas. Later on, it straightened out. So, but here's the thing. It gets even better. Harein is zero. I'm in a zero. V'shama bala. And he heard about this. V'omar va'ani. All he has to say is one word. Va'ani. I want to be like you. Ein yachol lahafer. Stop. I have an interesting shaila. I think the Olam knows the answer, but it's kedai to repeat the shaila. A guy with very long hair. Obviously, he's a nazir. Yeah. I've seen somebody just recently. Guy, he's a nazir in Yerushalayim. Nazir. Long hair. He can't shave his head. He sees him. He says, "Va'ani." Then that guy goes. I think I have the picture here. He goes to the Bezdin and he says, I want to be mater. The guy with the very long hair goes and he says, I want to be mater my nazirus. I don't want to be a nazir anymore. And they say, okay, fine. You made a mistake. You're out of it. You don't have to be a nazir anymore. What about the guy that saw him in the street and said, Va'ani? 3 days ago, a guy saw him in the street and said, I want to be like him. I want to be a nazir. Is he a nazir or not a nazir? What do you say? At the time, he was a nazir. But later on, he got a Torah. No, anybody? You say not, you say yes. Anybody? Yes. But based on what we just said, that Torah means what? You undo everything retroactively. It's as if he was never a nazir. So the fact that he said Vani is nothing. It turns out he said Vani on nothing, on a person that's not a nazir. 3 days ago when he drank wine, 3 days ago when he was walking down the street and he drank wine, he's potter. I could undo everything. It's as if he was never a nazir for a second. Retroactive. Okay, so over here, when he says to his wife, Va'ani, I want to be like you, that's it. What is he saying? He's essentially saying that I want to be like you. You're going to be a Nazira, and I'm going to be like you forever. Ein yachal lahafer. He can't be made for. Why? Because he's telling his wife, you're a Nazir forever. I'm a Nazir forever. V'amai, asked the Gemara, based on what we're asking here, name of Ani the Omar hu al nafshei. Yeah. So this is beautiful. I am only going to last to be a Nazir for half an hour. And why for half an hour? Because I want it to be Chal for half an hour, so that you will be a Nazira, and I will be like you. Because if you're never a Nazira, if I'm made for you Naziras from here on out, then I can't be a Nazir based on you. So if I want to base my Naziras based on you, you have to be a Nazira for half an hour, for this moment that I'm a Nazir, for 1 minute. And from that 1 minute on, I'm being made for, I'll continue being a Nazir, and you won't be a Nazira. But that's not what it is. We're saying that he can't be mefer. Vani deudo amar al nafshei da v'nozel. Aval hareini nezira di law the shoachas kaima lachashoy ba lefer amayin yochel hafer. Why can't he say to her, based on what we just said, that you could be mekayim a neder and then be mefer a neder? Maybe. We asked the shaila and we don't know the answer. Over here, I have a shaila. Here's a woman who said, I'm in a zero. Says the husband, I'm mekayim in a zeros so I can become a nazir. And 5 minutes later, it's batul mevutul kafir da'ara. Why not? Why can't you do that? Because it's a fast day. It's a sorry, B'Tevis today. I think it mamish fits in this Maisa. I said it once before, but I think it's a Gevaldik Maisa. The briskers, a lot of briskers don't fast on a Sar B'Tevis and these kind of fasts. So brisker comes home, mamish, during Shara Brachas, Sar B'Tevis, tells his wife, I'm not fasting today. She says, why? He says, the brisker Rav said you should be machmer when it comes to the Pikuach Nefesh. I have to be machmer, I'm not going to fast. So he comes home at night and he sees the table set for 2. He throws a fit. What are you doing? She said, you're not fasting. He said, I'm not fasting. What about you? She said, yeah, but you said you have to be machmer pikuach nefesh. Men have to be machmer, not women. Women don't have to be machmer. Okay. You didn't get the joke? It's very funny, actually. You just give him a thing. I think it's Givaldic a joke. Don't worry, the guys watching, they know it's funny. Just because you guys don't get it. You probably heard it 4 times, that's why. Okay. But it's a tinus today. And he says to her like this. He says, you go weiter. My nazirs and your nazirs are 2 different things. We're on 2 different levels. But you see, he can't do that. You see that he cannot be made for her nazirs. Is it because he said your nazir should be mekuyim for a minute? Why did he say it should be mekuyim for a minute? Because if your nazirus is not mekuyim even for a minute, then his nazirus is not chal. He's basing his nazirus on her, right? Like the guy that's walking down the street and he gets out Torah and somebody says vani, it doesn't work. So he wants it to work for 1 moment, then he'll become a nazir, then he'll let her go free. So you see from here that if a person is mekayim for a minute, he doesn't have the option to be mefer after that minute. Says Gemara Lo, that's not the pshat. No, it's normal to understand that when a person says he sees his wife, she's in a zero, and he says vani, what's going on in his head? It's going on in his head that he's letting her be a nazir forever, and he also wants to be in a nazir forever. Or for whatever, for the 30 days, whatever this man nazirus is. I'm throwing out forever because that's our case. Oh, so very good, Judah. So I asked the question, what else? How can you be Mekayim and Neder? By saying Vani. If you say Vani, then you're Mekayim what she's doing. That is a Kiyum. You don't have to say Mekuyim, you could say Vani, I want to be like your Neder, or Nazirus, and that's Mekayim. Says the official Mishnah, sponsored by Alan Khan, memory of Yocheved Mina Bat Avram. So, we have a freebie here because we had this already. Meis ha'av lo nisroikno rishus labal. Here's the case. So, as we know, hafara is to demolish the neder. If you have a chasen involved, we'll call him a baal. The Mishnah calls him. This entire Mishnah, by the way, is talking about an engaged man, a aros. Engaged in terms of he gave a ring and he's completely aros where she becomes a ishish. Now, if you have an aros and a husband together, they both, in combination with the shutfos, they are made for the neder. Chasen and the father-in-law. What happened? Keep on going. So here if you notice one very, very important thing that happened there, two things, halachically but also funnily, it happens to be they put spikes for the pigeons on top, if you look closely. You see that? Okay. That means he's watching the shear, everything is good. I didn't tell him to do it. So, and the pigeon is sitting in the spikes. Correct. And the pigeons are kosher for, even if they get spiked, which they don't, I was kidding about the spike, they're still kosher. Fine. So here, the two of them demolished the neder together. Now, what happened was, you have this 5-towner is not to scale. Let's call her, the youngest she could be is 11 years old. We're talking about up to Naira until 12 and a half. So from 11 to 12, if she understands Nedarim, the father could be Mefer her Nedarim by himself. Here, I have Mefer. Then comes along the Chassan, she gets engaged. So now you need both of them. Both of them have to be Mefer the Neder, B'shutfus. What happens if the father goes bye-bye? The halacha is nobody's Mefer. There's no afar anymore. But if the Chassan goes bye-bye, then the father goes back to step one, and he's Mefer the Neder all by himself. Says the Mishnah, if the father dies, then you don't empty out his schusim into the husband, into the orus's pocket, wallet. He doesn't get the rishus to annul or neder. Meis habal, however, if the husband dies, nisregnu rishus la'av, then the father goes back to being mefer nedarim on his own. Bezeh yafa koyach ha'av mikoyach habal. Check out this picture. Oh, not this one, but this one is good. If she gets engaged again, so now goes back to the shutfus. Here is yafa koyach ha'av mikoyach haben. The father-in-law is stronger and better than. I have a Maisa Shekamataya with Eidos from the Magichir, Chaim Feinstein from Chicago. He actually took the video. There was an NFL player at one of the weddings I was doing in Chicago, and I had an arm wrestle with him, and I beat him on video. So if anybody wants to get up right now, I don't care who you are, I'll do it right now. It'll be the first Magichir Mil Shir do arm wrestle. Weit gegangen, besides you. What? Let's go. Nah, I don't want to embarrass you. Because I was going to bring my son-in-law. He wouldn't do it in a million years. My daughter always wanted it. He'll probably beat me, so I don't want to try. But this is a Maisa Shekamataya. We'll never find the video, so don't even ask for it. It's not sure. Huh? After share. Yossi Klein said, I work in plumbing, I'll take you. Nebuch. I had to start from down here. I hope he doesn't watch this year. Who? This guy. Yeah, no, I'm not doing those. I sit behind him in davening. His sleeve bursted one day during Shachris. Yeah. No, not him. But the NFL guy was bigger than him, but I was younger. Fine. Zok the Gemara. Now everybody's going to ask Elchanan Feinstein if it's true. Whatever you do. Fine. Like the time I sprayed Benny the Bull at the Bulls. He was also the only guy that saw it. Okay, I have a certain guy in Chicago, my go-to guy that makes up stories with me. Zog the Gemara. So here answers the other question. There is something that the husband, the oros, has more koyach than the father. Shabal mefer bebeger. Va'av einoi mefer bebeger. Here's the pasuk. Well, here's a Ketana, Naira, Begeres, right? Ketana 0 to 12. Naira is if she has simanim from 12 to 12 and a half. And Begeres is, regardless, from 12 and a half to the end of her life, she's a Begeres. Now, this girl is a Begeres. The Gemara is going to describe exactly what happened here. Now, I'll just tell you the end of the Gemara, so we'll do Chazara. We're talking about a situation where the Aros is chayiv and mezainas. Remember, we learned in Ksubas, the first Amud of Ksubas says, if after a certain amount of time, 12 months of being engaged, being an aros, then you're chayiv to give the kala mezainas, and if he doesn't get married, then it kicks in and he starts paying mezainas. Because he's paying mezainas, now she's already noider al das the aros. Her nedarim aren't. So that's what we're talking about. It's a very specific case that he's chayiv mezainas. Okay, but it says in the pasuk, it says mefurish in the pasuk that the only time the father has the right to be made for nedarim is benureh. when she is a naira, between 12 and 12 and a half. Zehu. Once Nureh is over, Bagrus, the father has no rishus. Okay. My timer. Now, the Gemara asks, what's going on here? At the end of the day, or engaged. The whole Mishnah is engaged. The entire Mishnah is engaged. We're talking about a Arus here. And the Arus could for some reason, it's interesting, for some reason, even though she's a big Geres, and the father has no Rishus, he has Rishus over her, and he's not even married to her. He's just the Arus. Okay, says the Gemara in my timer. In this case, right over here, where the father dies, why doesn't the husband have the same kind of rishus as the father had? If there's no husband, you're telling me the father can be made for his daughters in the Nedarim. So if there's no father, the husband, we're talking about Arus, he should be able to be made for the Nedarim. Why is the husband any different than the father? They had a shutfus, they had a partnership. One partner dies, let the other partner take over. My time. So going back to this pasuk before, we were learning a different thing. Binurel. But it says Beveis Avia, she's always in the father's domain, even, and this is a huge chiddush, even when he's gone, even when he's dead. Still Beveis Avia. Mesa Baal. Now, going to the other case. What happened? Oh, Mesa Baal, if the Arus dies, the husband, Nisraigna Rishus La'av, then the father goes back being in control of his daughters in the Nedarim. Minal, and how do we know this? So we said there's a double lashon. Hayay siya. Should have said siya. Hayay siya, double lashon. Makish koidmei havaya shniya lekoidmei havaya rishayna. So we have a hekesh between a first marriage and a second marriage. So going back, here we have a Reuven and a Shimon in step 3 and step 6. We have two different chasanim. And we say like this. Sponsored by Greg Haber for Bracha, Parnassa, Atzlacha. That's not what we say, but I say it for his entire family and everyone learning the Daf. Atzlacha for the members of HBA group and their families. Amen. Just like when in step 1 and 2, there was no chasen involved. The father, he had full control. So in step 5, before there's a chasen number 6 over there, he has full control because chasen number 1 died. Says the Gemara, as the Gemara, what's happening here? In step 1 and 2, there's no chasen involved. So the Nedarim are only between the father and daughter. Now, in step 5, you want the father, the shver, to be able to be made for Nedarim that even Reuven in step 3 saw and heard about. Well, there's a little bit of a shutfus in that neder. Yes, the guy passed away. But there was somebody else involved. That the father could go ahead and be made for on his own. Just like in step 1 and 2, nobody else was involved. But Nedarim that the first chasen over here, saw, then there shouldn't be a step 5 over here because there was another chasen that saw the Nedarim beforehand. Says the Gemara, if that's the case, you're telling me, Stam Nedarim, that he's all by himself in step 5, and nobody saw these Nedarim, nobody heard about the Nedarim besides the father, then I don't need this pasuk, Hayasiyah. I already learned that out from somewhere else, So Hayasiyah is telling me, even in step 5, when there was a Aros in step 3 that heard the neder and then he died, the father could take over all by himself. Unlike the husband, when the father dies, he cannot take over by himself, and that we learn from Hayasiyah. Now, if the Ran just points out, if she gets engaged again in step 6, then even the neder that happened before in stage 3, you need the new husband to be mefer. The Ran is joking. Why? And he proves it. Because then it's not similar to Havai Rishayna. Okay. You want it to be Koydem Havai Rishayna. Not like Koydem Havai Rishayna. Fine. What? What do you say? No. What do you mean? No, right. A typical Baal. In step 3, he's not made for Bekoymim. But this Baal, because he was already Beshutfus with another Baal, then I hear what you're saying. But it's a big chiddush. That's why Judah said you're joking. What is going on here? How is it possible that the chassan is suddenly made for his wife's nedarim when she turns a begeres, when she's in a begeres, and the father can't? She's Mekadesh. He's Mekadesh her when she was a naira. Let's see. Here. Over here, step 3, she's a naira. And then she becomes a begeres. Now, Stamas, I don't know if this is true. I once heard that a lot of our issues that we have in today's society is that we treat older kids, teenagers, like children. We say they can't drink, they can't vote, they can't drive, they can't this, they can't that. Unlike the Torah, where when you're 13 years old, you do everything. And I just looked it up today. I thought it's fascinating. In Texas, you could drink when you're 21 years old, but you could buy a gun when you're 18. You could kill people, but you can't kill yourself. They're very makbid on drinking. 21, you can buy a gun, no problem. Fine. But it's okay. Azaz Svara. I don't know how true it is. You have to treat them as adults, and maybe they'll act like adults. Huh? Right. That you don't have to edit in reverse. This should be like enter reverse. Okay, fine. There's 2 things that a woman leaves her father's domain completely, and that is the death of the father and bagrus. Ma misa. Wait a minute. So what's the difference between the two? You're saying that if the father dies, the husband doesn't gain full control. He can't annul her nedarim at all. There's no afara. So then what's the difference? When he dies, or av bagrus, so what's the difference between the 2 cases? There shouldn't be a difference. There are 2 things that take a girl out of her father's domain. One of them is called bagrus, one of them is called misa. Misa doesn't go to the husband, so bagrus shouldn't go to the husband. Says the Gemara, we're talking about a case where he's chayiv in her mezainas. Why? Because, here we go, they got engaged. He gave her a ring, not like today. He gave her a ring and it's a full erusin. And then they waited 12 months. That's it. Once the 12-month time comes, they're similar to being married. Why? He's chayiv mezainas. Once he's chayiv mezainas, she in her mind says, look, I get mezainas from him, I'm getting support, everything, I'm like basically married 99%. Every nether I'm going to make is going to be on my chassan's das, whatever he wants. If he wants to annul it, let him annul it. Says Gemara, Tanina Chal Zimna. But wait a minute. So this kedai to see for a second, Daf Ein Gimel Amud Beis. Take a look, 2 daf from here. All the way on top, it says, if she indeed waited, like in this picture, 12 months, it's Rebbe Eliezer, the Tanakama says, he could do afara. And they argue, okay, you have to be married, you have to do chuppah. In 2 daf from now, we're going to have this halacha. So why would our Mishnah repeat this halacha? Says Gemara, okay, before I answer the kasha, let me just address another problem. Haguf kasha. Digressing a little bit. Amris, so it goes like this. Interesting halacha here. You see, in this diagram, if the begeres, she's 12 and a half years old and she got married on her birthday, when is the husband chayiv in mezainis? Engaged, Erison. When is he chayiv in mezainis? A year later, 12 months later, 13 and a half. What happens if I do this? She got engaged when she was 13. So she only has a half a year. What happens if she got engaged a month before her 13 and a half birthday? A year later, she has 1 month. And what happens if she gets engaged like in nowadays when she's 18? She has 1 month. She always has 1 month. The only time she has a year is if she got engaged exactly on her birthday. Not a moment before, not a moment later. How many times did that happen? Once in history. Says Gemara.
She's 12 and 2 months. 12, 3, 4, 5 months.
No. A begeres has 12 months. I think. You're saying if she's 12... 12 months from Bagus. I hear. I don't know. Ask the Gemara. In other words, why would you even say 12 months by Begeres when it's so not shaykh? Begeres b'shloshim yom sagila. A typical Begeres, because in a Begeres, the Gemara's kasha, I think this is the answer to what you're saying. We're talking about a Begeres. So the Begeres, the most possible is 12 months. But that's only if she gets married on that day. Yes, maybe Naira gets 12 months, but in Begeres, you get only 12 months. So a typical Begeres would only get whatever it is, 30 days, 60 days, but not a year. So why are you saying it as if every single Begeres gets 12 months? Begeres b'shloshim yom sagila. Says the Gemara, Tni Begeres b'shishasa yud b'yitzchaydish. Here, this Mamish says what you're saying. If she's a Naira, you're right, she gets 12 months. But in a Begeres, she gets 30 days. It could go, basically, there's a minimum and there's a maximum. The maximum is 12 months. The minimum is 1 month. And if she's a Naira, she gets 12 months no matter what. The bottom line is, Mikol Mokim Kasha. What's the question that we're going back to? We have a Mishnah Daf Ayin Gimel that's saying the same thing as the Mishnah Daf Ayin. So why do we need the same exact Mishnah twice? Says Gemara, no, our Mishnah is the main Chiddush. The what? The hand wrestling. Or the fakert, the hand wrestling. Over here, the Baal, the husband, the Aros, is stronger than the father. That's where we trying to say that Chiddush in our Mishnah. Ubegeres Ktani, Hasam, and in Dafayin Gimel we say that Mishnah, Mishum the Bayi Plugi Rebbe Lezer Rabbanan. We want to add one very, very important piece, and that's the Rabbanan arguing Rebbe Lezer. And what happens if Rabbanan arguing Rebbe Lezer? The halacha is like Rabbanan. Especially, says the Ran, that our Mishnah is Stam. And the halacha is, when you have an anonymous Mishnah, and then you have immediately afterwards a Mishnah with names in it, the halacha is like the Mishnah with the names in it. So, if it was just a Stam Mishnah, we'd pass in like this Mishnah, but we have a machlokes later. And the other answer is, Yiboy Begeres Dafka. The Mishnah Nayin Gimel is the main place where we want to say the Chiddush that the husband has a power. Since we said at the beginning of the Mishnah that the father has more power than the son-in-law, so that's why we continue and it said, look, sometimes the son-in-law also has more power. But the main point where we wanted to emphasize that point was in Daf Ayin Gimel. Have a wonderful day.
Please someone shut up your phone. Yeah, thank you. Say before.